If I told you this water was in the Caribbean, you'd probably start checking flight prices. Plot twist. It's in Texas. Most people think turquoise water, white sand, and tropical-looking swimming holes only exist a few hundred miles south of Florida. Turns out Texas has been quietly hiding some of the most Caribbean-looking landscapes in America. Not because someone dumped blue dye into a lake, but because of spring-fed aquifers, limestone geology, and a few natural tricks that make the water almost unreal. And somehow many of these places are still overshadowed by the state's bigger tourist magnets. Here's the weird part. One of these spots sits in the middle of the West Texas desert. Another has water so clear you'll think your eyes are buffering. And one location has fooled more first-time visitors than a souvenir shop selling authentic pirate treasure. Think you know the best places to visit in Texas? Stick around because I'm willing to bet at least 3 of these have never crossed your radar. But then, there's the place that looks like it belongs in the Bahamas, yet it's only a road trip away, and trust me, you're not ready for what's next. If you want to see these places before everyone else ruins them with geotags, hit subscribe. Future you and your vacation photos will appreciate the decision. Let's count down 7 Texas places that look Caribbean but almost no one knows. Let's break it down. Number 7, Mustang Island State Park. If I showed you this beach without telling you where it was, you'd probably guess the Caribbean. You'd be wrong. It's Texas. Most people think Texas beaches are all murky water, crowded shorelines, and a place you visit only because Florida is too far away. That's a stereotype, and Mustang Island State Park is one of the best arguments against it. On the right day, when the Gulf is calm and the wind stays low, the water transforms into brilliant shades of turquoise and emerald. Pair that with miles of soft sand, rolling dunes, and open shoreline, and suddenly you're looking at a scene that feels more like an island getaway than the Texas coast. But here's what nobody tells you. This isn't some man-made resort or hidden luxury escape. It's a protected barrier island that naturally filters and reshapes the coastline while providing habitat for sea turtles, dolphins, and hundreds of migratory bird species. In other words, it's beautiful for a reason, not by accident. Now think you know the best beaches in Texas? Then ask yourself this: how many have more than 5 miles of natural shoreline where you can camp, kayak, fish, and sometimes see water so clear it barely looks real? The catch? Show up after a few windy days, and the magic disappears. Nature doesn't work on your vacation schedule, and honestly, that's part of what makes finding this place at its best feel like discovering a secret. But don't get too comfortable because this is only number 7. The next location hides Caribbean blue water in a place where it has absolutely no business existing. If you love uncovering places most travelers drive right past, hit subscribe. You might just discover your next vacation before everyone else does. Number 6, Devil's Waterhole. A tropical cove surrounded by granite cliffs in the middle of Texas? That sounds made up. It isn't. Most people assume you need a passport to find water this blue, or at least a flight to Jamaica or the Virgin Islands. But tucked inside Inks Lake State Park is Devil's Waterhole, a place that completely wrecks that assumption. At first glance, it doesn't even feel like Texas. Massive pink granite boulders rise above emerald blue water, creating a secluded swimming hole that looks more like a hidden Caribbean inlet than a lake in the Texas Hill Country. The contrast is what makes it unforgettable. One minute you're driving through dry, rocky terrain. The next, you're staring at water so inviting it feels like nature forgot which country it was designing. And here's what makes this place even cooler. The water is part of Inks Lake, which is actually one of the few constant level lakes in Texas, so it's usually accessible all year round. Add in cliff jumping, kayaking through these quiet coves, paddleboarding, and, all these hidden pockets of calm water, and you've got an adventure that honestly feels way more exotic than its location might suggest. Of course, the name Devil's Waterhole sounds like somewhere villains hold their annual company picnic. In reality, it's one of the most beautiful swimming spots in the state. Whoever named it clearly had a marketing department with trust issues. Remember when I said Texas likes keeping its best beaches a secret? Well, apparently it hides tropical coves too. Now imagine yourself floating beneath towering granite cliffs, the water shimmering emerald beneath your feet, kayaks quietly drifting past, and the only soundtrack is the splash of someone who's just discovered gravity the hard way while cliff jumping. That's a vacation you don't forget. But don't get too comfortable, because the next destination doesn't just look Caribbean, it looks like someone dropped a tropical paradise right into the Texas wilderness. Number 5, Colorado Bend State Park. A tropical waterfall hidden deep in Texas sounds like clickbait until you actually see it. Most people picture Texas as dry ranches, dusty trails, and endless highways. Fair enough, but Colorado Bend State Park completely flips that image on its head. Hike about 3 miles through rugged hill country, and you'll reach Gorman Falls, a 70-foot living waterfall where mineral-rich spring water slowly builds layers of bright green moss and limestone. The real surprise isn't just the waterfall, it's the crystal-clear pools below it. Sunlight bouncing off the pale limestone gives the water an incredible blue-green glow, creating the kind of colors you'd expect to see on a Caribbean island, not in Central Texas. It almost feels like nature accidentally copied a tropical postcard. What makes this place even more unique is that Gorman Falls isn't fed by rain alone. It's a spring-fed waterfall that flows year-round, and every drop carries dissolved minerals that continue building the waterfall itself, a process that has been happening for thousands of years. Colorado Bend State Park also protects more than 5,300 acres of wilderness, with over 35 miles of hiking trails, hidden caves, and diverse wildlife, making it one of Texas's most underrated outdoor escapes. Here's the catch. You don't just park and walk 20 feet. You have to earn this view. The hike can be rocky, steep near the falls, and yeah, a little slippery. But honestly, that's probably why it still feels like a hidden paradise instead of an overcrowded tourist trap. Can we all agree that every amazing waterfall somehow requires hiking uphill both ways? Nature's like, here's the reward, but first, prove you really want it. At this point, my legs deserve their own vacation. Now, imagine standing beside the waterfall, feeling the cool mist on your face while emerald moss clings to the cliffs and the pools below shimmer in impossible shades of blue. The only sound is rushing water and birds echoing through the canyon. For a minute, Texas completely disappears. So, number 4, Krause Springs. If someone dropped a tropical jungle into the middle of Texas, it'd probably look a lot like Krause Springs. Most people expect Texas swimming holes to be little more than rocky creeks with cold water. Krause Springs completely flips that expectation. Hidden in the hill country near Spicewood, this privately owned oasis is home to more than 30 natural springs that feed crystal-clear pools year-round. Add towering cypress trees, hanging vines, a small waterfall, and even palm trees, and suddenly you're wondering if Google Maps accidentally rerouted you to the Caribbean. But here's what makes this place special. Unlike many famous Texas swimming spots that fill up with crowds the moment summer starts, Krause Springs still feels tucked away. The spring-fed water stays refreshingly cool, while the surrounding butterfly garden and lush vegetation create a setting that's surprisingly tropical without trying to be. The water isn't dyed. The colors come from exceptionally clear spring water, sunlight, and the limestone beneath the surface. It's the kind of place where every photo looks edited even when it isn't. One visitor summed it up perfectly. It doesn't feel like Texas until you leave the parking lot. Honestly, that's hard to argue with. Whoever first found this place had two choices: tell everyone or keep quiet forever. Judging by how many people still haven't heard of it, I'm guessing they at least considered option B. Why is it that every hidden paradise comes with one tiny catch? You finally find a magical spring, you're ready for the perfect swim, and then somebody shows up with a giant inflatable unicorn the size of a studio apartment. Nature's trying to be peaceful, Kevin's trying to host a pool party. Be honest, Would you rather spend the day at a crowded beach or a hidden spring like this? Yes for the spring, no for the beach. Tell me in the comments. And somehow, the next destination makes even this tropical oasis look ordinary. If this video saved you from booking an overpriced beach vacation, hit like. If nothing else, do it for the algorithm. It gets grumpy when ignored. And subscribe because discovering places before they explode on social media is basically a travel survival skill now. Number 3. South Padre Island sandbars. This might be the closest you'll ever get to the Caribbean without leaving Texas. Most people visit South Padre Island, spread out a towel, hit the beach, and never realize the real magic is sitting just offshore. Hidden beyond the main shoreline are shallow sandbars, where the water often transforms into brilliant shades of turquoise, aqua, and emerald. On calm summer days, the contrast between the white sand beneath your feet and the crystal clear water is almost impossible to believe. Here's why it happens. The sandbars create these broad, shallow lagoons where sunlight easily reaches the bright, sandy bottom. When the Gulf is calm and the wind stays low, the water becomes remarkably transparent, producing those vibrant Caribbean colors people usually associate with places like the Bahamas or Turks and Caicos. The best part is, many of these sandbars are only accessible by boat, kayak, paddleboard, or guided tour. That extra effort, it keeps them surprisingly quiet compared to the busy beaches back on shore. While you're floating in waist-deep water, there's a good chance you'll spot dolphins nearby, schools of fish gliding beneath the surface, and seabirds diving overhead. One local put it perfectly. People drive right past paradise because they never leave the beach. Honestly, that's probably the most expensive mistake a free beach can offer. We spend thousands flying to tropical islands, then ignore one that's practically waving at us from the Texas coast. Human logic is a fascinating thing. Beach chairs are apparently a competitive sport now. Somebody arrives at sunrise, claims enough space for a small nation, then disappears for 3 hours. Congratulations, you've conquered sand. Now picture yourself standing in knee-deep turquoise water with soft white sand beneath your feet. Dolphins surface in the distance, a warm Gulf breeze rolls by, and the only sound is gentle waves brushing across the sandbar. If someone handed you a coconut, you probably wouldn't question where you were.